Hello guys, welcome to another cheating story. We've got some really exciting cheating story. Watch until the end, you'll be shocked as the last bit will blow your mind. The 911 call I received was different from what I expected to be, and there I found him cheating. Brief background, I was a 911 dispatcher in the country for several years. Our work is to communicate with the police through radio and sends them to the person who called. It can be a call personally being taken simultaneously, or notes are sent to the police. Police also runs license plates as well as driver's licenses for the cops whenever they arrive or tend to pull people over to tell them if anything is expired or if there's a warrant, etc. I dispatch different townships within the country in my every work. Basically, I worked with different townships' police department on a rotation basis depending on the day. Now I've introduced the process of my work. I'll start stating my story when I was working one night. It was Saturday, and I was dispatching to my favorite township, which is the place I personally grew up. I know many police officers and high school colleagues. I received a 911 call about suspicious vehicle parked in a parking lot of a park that closes when the night is visible. It was around 11:30 p.m. so there shouldn't be any cars in there. I dispatched one officer that was near the location, and when he arrived, he gave me the license plate to run in order to see who might be the owner. As I run it on the system, he spoke on the radio saying that the engine is still warm and that he's going to look around. I asked him if he wanted backup, but he said he didn't, so I let him. I got the license plate info, and there I found it. Let's call my ex-boyfriend Steve, whose car was found on the park. When I got the info from the system, I was panicking. Thoughts that I was not supposed to be thinking were there, and the question why is Steve parked in the park on the woods so late on a Saturday night. The officer got back on the radio after a few minutes later. I told him the info such as the owner's name of the vehicle and that the car came back up to date with no warrants, etc. But the officer stopped me on talking because he sees a male and female coming from the woods. I was shook when he said that. I'll give you the driver license number in a minute, the officer said. So I waited for the longest 30 seconds of my life, running the license number to identify who exactly he is obviously cheating on me with. I ran the license. There was his picture that popped up, while on the second license was his ex-girlfriend, who he dated months before I met him. I told the officer they were just frog hunting in the woods and that he can disregard status checks. But he replied, "Clearly that's not a real thing that you just happened to do with your ex at midnight now." Despite of how much I wanted to text him at the time, I didn't. Instead, I waited until the next morning when we spoke on the phone, and I asked about his previous activities. He said he was so worn out from work that he just passed out ahead of schedule. I thought, oh really? I heard that the police stopped you last night. That spineless scumbag immediately disconnected, and I never heard from him again. There were reactions from the community. Step 17 says frog hunting in a comfortable way. He emerges from the woods around midnight with a woman. I'm glad everything turned out well for you. Finish her off. Idaho apologizes for what occurred to you. For a few years, my wife worked as a dispatcher. Volunteer firefighter, I was you, AMT, for more than 2 decades in a rural county. What tales we could weave. Sterile assistance as far as I can tell, 9196 says, with an ex, going frog hunting in the woods at midnight is a very common and popular activity. By hanging up and going full, he did you an enormous favor. Wow, no contact, gutless. What a clever way to learn that your partner is cheating on you. You are strong for not speaking up immediately and going frog hunting. Really. He could have claimed to be gazing at the stars or catching fireflies. What a fool. How did you learn that your partner was having an affair? Please notice this further. Avoid spending time with a loser. Go find a person who will masturbate solely to your photos. 2 days ago, I, a 23-year-old woman, learned that my 27-year-old boyfriend, who has been with me for nearly 4 years, had been cheating on me during our first year and a half together. Although he claims not to have cheated physically, he was emotionally invested in another woman, female 27-year-old, and would frequently flirt very explicitly with her. He didn't say anything about it, but I just found out because I accidentally found 2-year-old messages on his phone the other night, and he didn't delete them. He apologizes profusely and asserts that he has never cheated on me, but I can't get it out of my head. He said some insane things to her, like he wanted to eat her girly parts, and would masturbate to her pictures. I love him so much, and our relationship has been good for the past 2 years, and he wants to put in the work as he says, but it makes me question his whole being and makes me feel like I could never trust him because he is a liar. To top it all off, she is not even remotely attractive. He also had feelings for this girl. I don't think I will ever be able to look at him the same again, but I don't want to just end our nearly 4-year relationship over a small issue early on. There are other factors as well. What are your thoughts? You broke your trust. Trust is like a vase that has been broken. It can never be the same. Trust is like a vase that has been broken. It will always have cracks and always be a little weaker than it was before. Right now, you're trying to figure out how to glue the pieces back together, but I'm saying you might want to take some time to figure out if you want to glue the pieces back together while you're thinking about it. It makes me sick to my stomach, and it makes me not even. Jordan hangs out with you for 4 years and tells you to leave him and stop wasting your youth with a man who doesn't respect you, to help you deal with the fact that you've been together for that long. Look up the sunk cost fallacy. You still have nearly 2 to 3 decades to find a new person on this planet. Now it will hurt. However, in the long run, it will be beneficial for you to find a faithful partner, someone who truly cares enough about you to not cheat on you. Someone who truly cares enough about you to not cheat on you. I just think that's all a relationship needs, and he couldn't even do that. That lazy guy says, don't spend your time with that loser. Imagine kissing your partner after eating her sexy parts, and then moving on. Since there was no trust in the beginning, there is no way to restore it. For your own sake, I think you need to forgive him and move on. Don't take it with you, and don't waste any more time with him. You are aware for certain that he cannot be relied upon and will lie to you. He'll just keep doing the same thing if you stay. How can you look at someone who said that to another woman and want to stay with them while having enough self-respect to leave and go find someone who will text you things like that and mean it? Find someone who will completely transform your life. When mommy is away, daddy will play. What do you think will happen next? I didn't know what to say, so I called my dad, who was cheating on my mom. He never played father. He had to be for me. He did nothing else but put food on the table. Until a therapist told me something that helped me kind of accept him for who he is. I, 18-year-old male, really disliked him for the majority of my life. When my mom and dad got into a fight 2 years ago, I heard him say that he would get a divorce from her because he thought she was cheating on him with their friends, who I also know. Additionally, they are dishonest. Despite the fact that I was aware that my mother would not act in that manner, the traumatic incident still made me hate her. Naturally, since that day, I've hated my dad even more. Now, the issue dates back many years to that debate. I used to hear my dad talking softly to someone on his phone from his bedroom when I was around 14 years old. I've always known something was wrong. But because I had too much on my plate after the argument 2 years ago, I decided to forget about it today. Despite the efforts I had made to improve our relationship and my perception of him, I hear him speak once more in the same soft voice, saying things like, I love, you can't be my mum because she's at her job. I now understand what's going on and am perplexed. Normally, knowing such a thing would have made me melt, but now that I've developed thick skin, it barely bothered me, hopefully. However, due to our difficult economic situation, I'm unsure of my options. Despite the fact that my dad is barely employed at the moment and that my mother is providing the majority of the bread, because of the emotional harm that he has done to my mother and brother, I still worry about him leaving us. Everyone was in a similar predicament. You can direct my actions. I just want to graduate, make money, and get us all out of here, with my dad's help not being required. The community is here. Okay, 578 people reply. Everything you say to us here, tell your mum, she is mature. Allow her to make decisions regarding her relationship and husband. In the event that she makes the decision to leave, all you need to do is be there for her. Aggravating Plum 8147 says, just tell your mother what you think. Leave it up to her to decide what to do. She deserves to be informed. Step 317 says to check to see if he can get his phone, search for emails, video clips, etc., and take screenshots. Apps may be hidden at times. After that, I'd talk to your mother. While I'm not saying you're wrong, I think it might just be a lot of speculation at the moment. we sometimes remember things differently than how they actually happened. I'm not saying that your dad is the best guy in the world either. However, perhaps the memories are more recent. Do you believe it is possible that he is calling your mother while she is working? It sounds like both of your parents are having problems here. In this situation, no one is a saint. Would telling your mother make you feel better? If that's the case, let her know. If not, it might not be worth dying on that hill. Investigate it further to see what you can find. I'm not sure if it's worth it to steer the pot right now. What is your opinion? Last but not least, can men and women ever be just friends? My first relationship after leaving my cheating ex-husband, and now I'll have to dump him. 28 male and 29 female wed in October, and their wedding day was in March. After we split up, we stopped talking to each other, and the annulment was done. I've been seeing the same guy since August. Since May, 31 males have been involved in a hookup. But as time went on, we got to know each other better and went on dates and trips together. Therefore, it's been difficult understanding each other and our communication styles, but overall, it has been great and keeps getting better. My life's best sex, and we have a lot of fun together. He told me this week that he plans to go on a cruise with his best friend, who lives out of state, when he goes on vacation next year. Both her boyfriend and I are not invited. He repeated that it would only be the two of them going on a trip for his best friend when I asked him if he was serious. Yeah, aside from that, there is no obvious response to trauma. Right now I feel so unwelcome and disrespected. I can't stay in a relationship where I'm never given first priority and the lines between us are constantly blurred. I've been there before, constantly vying to be the man's number one girl and pleading to be the one he wants to spend time with so he can consider my feelings as his girlfriend. Null and void. I'm just hurting right now and hate that this relationship, which was a bright spot in a bad year, is already falling apart. I appreciate you allowing me to vent. The community has some responses. Okay, Culture 39, 35 states. All I can say is, thank God for a post that didn't end with, my significant other is going away alone with another woman. Is this allowed? The typical agency, 8984, believes that you have made the right choice. Never accept less hugs for yourself. According to Gustav Frieda, the first relationship following a divorce serves as a wake-up call for us in our pain. We frequently fell right back into the same routine. I quickly realized that I was content with a lot of things and had too much patience. I ought not to be. My first long-term boyfriend matched my best friend on Tinder, and she told me before she swiped him and swiped him on my request. He said it didn't mean anything. It was just out of boredom. I'm happy that happened because looking back, he was talking to his ex, wanted to be friends with her. The Tinder thing was so out of whack. I walked away, and maybe see I need changing, and I'm sure you will see he wasn't worth it anyway. I did extensive therapy where I realized how I want to earn love. It doesn't feel real to me unless I put in the effort. He is a giver like me, and I've been with him for 10 months now. It's odd that all he wants from me is my company and attention. It is not a response to trauma. You are 100 correct. Real friends don't need to have each other all the time. I quickly introduced my boyfriend because I have a male friend. Rarely do we hang only the two of us. We absolutely do not feel the need to. Why not take a trip as a couple? You did what was right. This is the kind of friendship in which one person is in love with the other, but the other person enjoys being the center of attention and prefers to avoid that person. It is incorrect. Mongoose loud. Has this thought, see? This is good because your previous relationship ended badly. You are now putting yourself first, and you have figured out quickly and completely what you won't have to put up with in a relationship. Thank you. I'm not sure. You might be reacting too quickly, and it could just be your fears speaking. There are numerous platonic relationships in existence. Although it appears suspicious, one never knows. Don't let it get to you in the interim, and don't think of it as a competition with someone else. You and his friend are two completely distinct individuals. Be assured that he has chosen to be with you and that he is the only person who can change your world in bed. It's possible that this is just him being himself, that it's completely harmless, and that it's yet another learning experience for your relationship. In either case, You might feel safe and comfortable discussing your feelings with him simultaneously. Try not to interact with him, especially the ones who hurt you. Things still seem hazy after confronting him, but trust it and him. Do you think OPA is okay and should be worried? And thank you for joining us today, and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We hate for you to miss out. If you want to listen to more stories from me, check out our lounge, where I feature a larger variety of non-cheating related stories. See you there.